Well, I just want to first say, before we go any further, because I keep getting tweets from people, and I keep saying tweets, and people are saying, "Why have you got this guy who was a
Sorry.
moderator for you?"
Sorry, hold on one second.
Well, I'll just tell the people watching, since apparently they don't really care about what you have to say anyway.
I figured it was valid because like you've had moments where you've been a total like dick, like that
Me,
whole like the hijacking of my forums or whatever. That was a dick move. Yeah,
moving on.
you've been beyond a hater at some points.
People kept saying to me, "I hope you're prepared for this," and I kept saying, "Prepare? It's only Onision." Like,
Yeah, it's not like you're going to with an actual intellectual. I mean,
okay, that was a bit
are
of a,
you
that was a bit
afraid
of a tangent.
are you afraid of
Are you
work?
avoiding the subject here, Greg?
And also, have you noticed how many men have been called out for sexually assaulting women lately?
Yeah, I have, and
No,
it's
like
turned into
that.
a bit of a witch hunt, don't you think?
No. Or Bill Cosby, of course. Like, there's a lot of women
What
who have
did
been
Bill
victims,
Cosby do?
drugged women and then slept with them.
Oh, that thing. Okay.
Oh, that. Like, it was like 60 women or
Yeah,
something.
that. Okay.
Yeah, it was a ton of women, and like that
I
stuff.
never heard about that. But
Like, they've
like,
never seen a rape statistic in their life or something.
do you know about rape statistics though?
Are you gonna say that they're made up or something or what?
Well, I mean, there's the feminist myth that 1 in 4 women are raped in like college campuses and stuff. That's a complete lie.
I doubt.
Uh,
See, I personally doubt that because almost every single person that I've been the friend of or whatever, they've come out to me saying, "Yeah, I was violated by so and so."
the whole thing when that number first came out, it was done on a college campus, and that's where they took the thing. But what the problem was, they were including things such as unwanted sexual advances, like if a guy was to hit on a woman and they didn't want it, they would then report that into these statistics. So eventually it ended up in 1 in 4. I mean, 1 in 4 women are raped. That's a number that rivals the Congo, where rape is used as a weapon of war. I mean, I don't think you
Yeah,
can quite say that 1 in 4 women are raped in the US when that's the numbers in the Congo.
and you know this. You can be covered for Viagra, but not birth control in many areas. You know, so doesn't
Okay,
that
but
on
I don't
insurance? A lot of
see.
insurance.
I can understand where the frustration when that sort of thing comes from, but I mean, that's not really a feminist issue. I would say it's
It
more of
kind
a
of is
thing.
because you're talking about where one person has something covered.
You find a provider that does do that. I mean, it's not like
Well,
every single
or you
insurance
could,
provider is not going to do that.
or you could just have feminists. You could have
Well,
feminists.
yeah, but what are they doing? What are they
They could
doing about it?
they're contacting Congress, calling their senators, etc. Making rallies.
Whining on Twitter,
Huh?
whining on Twitter,
Yeah.
peddling out false wage gap statistics.
Well, the wage gap, I'm not going to argue either. I'm arguing actual issues, not stuff that I don't know are actual issues. Is that when you hire a female, a lot of people are probably worried that someone's going to get pregnant, and then they're going to need pregnancy leave or something like that. The government doesn't help me enough, which is where we need feminism, of course, to encourage the government to equalize everything so women have the benefit of the doubt because they are women and they have the financial.
Because they need to be protected. That's a very good feminist of you, Greg. Women are
They
they're
well,
so lesser than men that they need the government's help.
and because of that reality, I'm less likely to get a job because they're afraid of that variable that I could get pregnant anytime and that could be a weight on the company. I think I would need feminism for that so they could balance it and I could feel like an equal human being in the eyes of the business world.
Or you just don't get pregnant and you're fine.
See, that's the you're silly. It's not that simple,
It
Sometimes
is that
and
simple.
also and
I'm
that's
100% pro-choice, okay? But I don't think that the whole abortion thing is as much of a feminist issue as people make it out to be. You see, when people
but
argue against...
it doesn't
No, no, hold
involve
on, hold
men.
on. Let me
Okay.
make the point. Let me make the point, then you can respond.
Okay.
So, most of the time, when people are against, pretty much everyone who is against abortion, it's because they believe that that fetus, that cluster of cells, they believe it to be a living thing. Okay? So when feminists come along and they start being like, well, it's about women's bodies, it's their right to have an abortion, that the argument in response to that is, well, you don't have the right to kill something, okay? No one thinks that women should not have the right to do what they want with their own bodies. The argument is that they
Try
don't
going
want
to the
women.
Middle East.
No, well, sure, the Middle East, where they've got lovely Islam, which is one of the most oppressive ideologies in the world. But Yeah, the argument is more that they don't want murder. It's not that they don't want women to have rights. It's they don't want murder. I don't think it's murder. I'm pro-choice,
The
but
the
that's
the
the
issue
argument.
the
But I think the argument gets skewed when you start talking about women's rights in relation to abortion, because that's not the argument people are actually wanting to have.
I feel like what you're doing is you're trying to detach this issue because you don't want to admit that you're actually a little bit feminist yourself.
I'm a little bit feminist. That is the most offensive thing you've ever
If you're
said
pro
to me. You
you're
once
pro
called me a
if you're
fucking
pro if you're
retard.
pro-choice, you're a little bit feminist because you're supporting rights that directly and exclusively
Well, I'm
involve
not
women.
pro-choice anymore. I'm pro-life. Ban the abortions right now.
All right. Anyway,
I'm
so I
serious.
think that's yeah, that's it's great that you could just flip on your values like that in an instant just because you're that phobic of feminists.
Oh, of
Uh,
course.
Um,
Why would I want to suddenly have blue hair, get fatter than I already am?
that's a stereotype. If you actually look at like a group of
If you look at
feminists,
most feminists, they're fat and blue haired and they scream and they go, "Ree!"
are you well, see, I feel like you're joking. Do you actually mean that?
Yeah, I do mean that. If I didn't mean it, I wouldn't say it.
Let's see.
Just Google feminist. I guarantee you the pictures that pop up will be,
Well,
you'll
I'm
get
gonna
your heart,
do
Greg. You'll
I'm
get
gonna
your heart.
do so we have a bunch of dudes in the audience, and I see no one with blue hair and they look all skinny. Okay,
How do
that's a
you know they're
crowd of
feminists?
feminists. All right, let's go to
How do you
another
know they're
crowd. And
feminists?
you see me navigating through this, so we're just going, to the top things that show up as feminists. All
They
right,
look like
so
stock pictures to me.
we have no blue hair again, and what is that? Three out of every. No, actually, how many is that? Three, seven, seven. One person is a little bit heavy. The rest are pretty skinny.
Greg,
All
is
right,
this
so
going back to your old format for, was it Autobro when you rate the pictures?
oh, I still do that.
Oh, you still do
Anyway,
that?
yeah,
Okay,
it's
rate
great.
rate that woman in
It's
the front. Rate
great.
her.
Anyway, so in this crowd we
Rate her
have
in the
no
front. How much
in
weight does she
this
need to lose?
so far, I mean, do you want me to use more examples of no blue hair and a minority of overweight people, or do you get it?
I'd like to see some more evidence.
I mean, you could pick the picture. You want to tell me which one to look at here?
What do you think about intersectionality? What do you think about intersectional feminism? And do you think that white women have a place in that?
All right, so I don't know what that is. What's wrong with it? You tell me what's wrong with it.
No, I was asking you what you thought about it.
I don't think much of it. Sounds like it's a more inclusive version of feminism. Is that all you got? That's all you wanted to say about it?
Let's move on from that shit show.
It,
Okay, so do you still call yourself a feminist?
I like egalitarian because it includes all issues, but I'm
So you don't
definitely.
call yourself a feminist anymore?
If somebody walked up to me on the street and said, "Do you support women's rights?" I would say totally. And so, yeah, that would
But
make me a
that's
feminist.
not the same thing.
A feminist is a person who supports feminism, and feminism is the advocacy of women's rights based on the basis of equality of the sexes. So, yeah, that is what that means.
I know you love the dictionary, Greg, but dictionary definitions don't always line up with reality. For example, if one day scientists proved that a long-standing scientific theory was untrue, and the dictionary was to describe words used in that theory as being true, would that mean the dictionary is wrong, or are those scientists wrong?
Say, beating women is wrong, and I could say, well, what's your definition of beating? Well, beating is just the definition in the dictionary. It's not necessarily something a reflection of reality. You could apply this to most anything, so it's kind of like a pointless thing to
So,
say.
so what you're saying is that you think men should be able to legally beat their wives?
What? All
Well, are
feminists?
you a feminist? Yes or no?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh, okay.
If
Oh,
I'm
you
going, if
finally
I'm going,
answered the
if I'm
question. I
general,
mean, did you know that women actually have more rights than men in the Western world?
not when it comes to being able to completely disassociate yourself with a child that you helped bring into this world.
Actually, that's not true.
It is true because the guy has a 9 month head start. If you think about
Well,
it,
true. But
yeah.
legally,
So there you
women
go.
have the right to choose parenthood. I've actually got it written
Yeah,
down
yeah, yeah.
here somewhere.
I know
Actually,
exactly what you mean. That's so true what you just said. Where
women can
a guy
surrender a
can't
child.
say, yeah, a guy can't say, I want you to get an abortion because it's her body.
No, I don't. I don't even mean that. I mean after the child's born. What happens is with paternity laws and stuff, a man can never not choose to be involved with the child legally without the mother's consent,
But the
whereas
mother
the
can.
mother can actually give up the child without the
Yeah,
father's consent.
that's a good point.
And you think that's good?
No, I think that's a good point that you made.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a Feminist issue.
The chat, they're telling you stop picking your spots, Greg. Are you going to listen to that?
I'm actually rubbing my facial hair.
Maybe you should go get a blue wig or something.
Why? Because I'm a feminist.
You're not an intersectional feminist, though, so you're not a very good feminist, are you? Such a feminist. Why were you so obsessed with Jacqueline's voice for her boobs?
Oh,
If you were
Jack.
such a good feminist, wouldn't you just be happy about her choice?
No, I think that it's the opposite of supporting women when you tell or act like women should not be happy with their own bodies.
But someone could, I mean, for example, if you get a tattoo, does that mean you're not happy with your own body before you get the tattoo? Or a
Definitely, like
piercing?
you're not happy with that section of your skin. You could go be without that section of your skin. A woman isn't supposed to have, on average, big boobs. A woman on average has just a C cup or a B cup statistically. So to
Are you trying
tell
to play
people
God now, Greg?
like
Would you
Greg is
say,
my child,
would you
rightly
make
said
the
that.
same argument to a trans person?
The same argument to a trans person.
Well, you're
Uh,
saying that they're not happy with their bodies. Are you telling everyone that aren't happy with their bodies they should go and change it?
I am
Hmm?
with a trans person. A trans person is my spouse. And my general position with them is, I really don't support or encourage this alteration, but if it's something that you must do, then I'm not going to stop you. That kind of thing. Like it's not it
So you
sucks
just
that
avoid the question.
let them be themselves.
Well, exactly, that's their choice. And
It's
it was the
a
same
it's
with
a
Jacqueline Glenn's boobs. You shouldn't
well,
have commented on that.
I feel like I should have because it came out that Jacqueline Glenn was actually influenced by her boyfriend's body shaming. Well, okay, so I commented that she shouldn't date Social Repose in the first place because he was a cheating douchebag. And then he wound up cheating on her. Okay, so that was my commentary. She didn't listen to it, and I terminated our friendship because I said I didn't want to associate with her if she was
That
associated with
wasn't
men.
very feminist of you, Greg. Not letting women choose their own partners. How do you feel about taxes?
I
Because
feel
this is
like
a very big feminist issue. Don't you think that you as a man should pay more taxes?
I feel like people should pay what they're supposed to pay based on their income.
Well, I mean, if men don't pay more in taxes, then that puts the price of women's products up. So if you don't pay more in your taxes voluntarily, that makes you a very bad feminist.
That was logic gymnastics. So hold on. Let me also use your same logic. Oh, you don't support war? Well, most of your taxes go to war, so you're a murderer. That's basically what you just said to me.
No, it's not. That was a very silly statement.
All right, then, rephrase or whatever.
No, we're moving on.
Oh, okay. All right.
If
Sure.
I had any respect for this conversation we're having right now, maybe I would clarify, but I don't. So we'll have a better
Good
one.
for you. Whatever.
Anyway, what do you think about black feminism versus white feminism?
What's the difference?
Okay, what are we talking about?
You're talking about black feminism versus white feminism. You take
Since when?
Just now. Are you
What did I
okay?
say?
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Are you okay? Or was I cutting out or something?
You were talking about black feminism versus white feminism.
Was I?
Yes.
What did I
You,
say?
you were
Why are
saying
you
that
laughing?
you were saying that black feminists seem to believe that white feminists were less valid because
No,
of
no,
their.
no. I didn't say black feminists.
All right.
You know, Emma Watson's great until she starts speaking.
Have you had a good day today, or how are you doing today? And you always just kind of like have this generic response of okay or good, despite how your day is, and that's
No,
not
no, I always say terrible.
that must be
I
because
honestly do. If someone asks me how are you doing, I always say terrible. And they
that
say
must be
why, and I say I don't know. I just felt like saying terrible.
you
Do
know
you always say yes to women?
no what.
That isn't very feminist of you.
So yes, it was about getting women the same rights that a man could have.
Yeah, and it served its purpose, and now we don't need it.
But we just went through the whole first half of this. Why they need it. We're still having a pro-choice battle, and you said you're pro-choice yourself, but now you're pro-life just because you don't want to be a feminist, which is cray. It's cray that you just dump out your values because you don't want to be called a name.
I don't dump out any values, Greg. I have very specific values, and I stick to those.
Like being pro-choice. Are you still pro-choice?
No, I'm not pro-choice. I'm pro-life now. I was pro-choice until about
Yeah.
20 minutes ago.
Yeah, but you said you just don't. You just said you don't dump out your values. You stick to your values,
Yeah, but
and then you
that
said
wasn't
that
one of my values.
pro-choice is a very significant value in most everybody's mind, whether pro-life or pro-choice.
I really don't care. I don't care about gay rights. I mean, sure, it's nice if gay people can go marry each other, but I really don't care. I don't think it has I don't think it has anything to do with me. I don't care. I don't care if they can or they can't do it. It doesn't
Well,
affect me.
it has everything to do with me because I know many gay people, so it
Is this you
directly.
coming out? Next question.
Oh, you do you actually have a list of questions?
No, I was telling you to move on to the next question.
There's a sign that I don't know if it's photoshopped or whatever, but it says men are rapists. And I mean
I thought you agreed with that.
some men are, but like that's an example of a sign where someone didn't think it through and now it's being used as the poster for all feminists as if that represents all of them.
But it does.
Very well-known feminists like Barack Obama was a feminist.
Barack Obama. Men can't be feminists, Greg.
They can. All you have to
Feminists,
do is
feminists do not want men.
well, if you look at a crowd of feminists, you'll see that they're walking together.
What? So
They
now you're arguing for segregation of the sexes. Should the men walk in front of their wives? And your point is?
My point is that feminists do want men because they're trying to be equal with men.
So
And
you're saying that all feminists
having
are straight?
I appreciate you because like literally whenever I talk to you, I have no way to understand whether or not you're being serious or not.
I'm always serious, Greg.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're not at all laughing your ass off inside your head right now.
Inside my head, I'm pretty clearly laughing out loud, but that doesn't mean
I
I'm
know,
not
but
being
you were
serious.
while I was making that statement, you were quite silent. So obviously you weren't laughing then, but I'm sure you were still very amused inside your head.
Just before I forget, my friend Hannah, she wants you to stop blocking her on Twitter.
Stop blocking like she keeps making new accounts.
No, 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 you've unblocked her 3 times and then blocked her again.
Good. She should stay blocked this time because clearly she doesn't get how to like not be a
That's not
total.
very feminist of you, blocking women on Twitter.
Well, if you don't have feminism, then you don't have anyone really fighting for women's rights in the insurance and the
Well, yeah, you do.
hospitals.
You have genuine good people fighting for women. I mean, you don't need a whole movement just to fight for them. They've already got their rights. We don't need to have a whole movement of people to fight for them.
You don't seem to understand feminism at all. It's all about working on behalf of women's rights.
I
Yeah.
haven't read a dictionary, have I?
Well, here's the thing.
The
You said
fact
that
machine will tell
you
me.
said that feminists were all fat and blue-haired, and I proved that there's no blue-haired
It looks like there's a new
feminist groups.
fact machine, doesn't there, Greg?
Is this what we're doing? We're going back to straw manning?
Straw manning?
Yes, it's where you actually don't really address the points that are being put out there, and you try to resort to mockery.
I've never heard of that
And
concept before.
we try
But
to
that
like
isn't what
get
straw
this.
manning is, Greg.
Straw manning actually encompasses multiple debate strategies.
Well, straw is usually when you take someone's argument and you misrepresent it and you argue against that misrepresentation.
You know what
I
ad
mean, I know
hominem?
you love the dictionary, Greg, so why don't you Google it?
But have you ever heard of ad hominem?
Ad what? Are you talking about adpocalypse again? I've heard you talk about that enough.
You try to take someone's past and use that to invalidate most everything they say about an issue. It's like another.
Oh, so kind of like what you normally do. Well, Social Repose, you took his past and then you tried to decide who Jacqueline Glenn could date.
And how did that turn out?
It might have turned out well, I don't know. I don't pay attention to drama. I have no interest
She
in
wound.
drama or meaningless things.
That was actually quite possibly the worst example you could have used.
And your
Sorry.
point is?
My point is that you had a very invalid point when you referenced social
Do
repose.
you even know what the
Because
point was?
yeah, I do actually. I was bringing up how people use ad hominem to try to invalidate people's arguments by bringing up their past as if it has any relevance to what
But that isn't what an ad hominem is.
It is actually. I'm looking at it right now.
Guys, he's looking at the dictionary again.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at okay. So ad hominem is you attack your opponent's character or personal traits in an attempt
Yeah,
to
so basically
undermine
insults.
their argument. No, you attack your opponent's character. Okay.
Yeah, with insults.
Yeah. Well, character. Is
Greg,
what
you're a terrible feminist. You abuse women. You're a rapist.
all right.
There you
Ad
go.
hominem
Those are
attacks
ad
take the
hominems.
form
Walked into what?
a dead end. Like for instance, with the social repose, you walked yourself right into a dead end when you tried to use that as an example. Social repose
What's-
was a terrible example.
I don't see any dead ends. I'm not walking anywhere.
Okay, so you're taking something that I'm saying as a literal thing when it's actually an analogy or a metaphor for what you're doing. So
Could
to
you please
translate,
define analogy?
you're putting
There's the fact that most of them are all man haters, blue hair fat.
Well, actually, I think most of them are married to men.
No,
Or
most of them are lesbians.
a lot of them.
I mean, lesbianism
Do
isn't
you
real. It's basically a
do
disease. I
you
mean,
do you
it's
have
the
anything?
only lesbians that exist are women who have given up on men.
Well, I'm a feminist. My spouse is a feminist.
You're
Barack
not a
Obama.
feminist. We already established this, Greg. Men
Barack.
can't be feminists. They don't want you. Greg, I'm genuinely confused. I wish I was acting. I wish I was trolling you right now. But I'm genuinely confused. I'm like in this little conundrum in my head. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I never got to ask you this question. I mean, this is a bit off topic, but so why did you kill Reptar?
Reptar, the turtle from many years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I remember some guy at 27. He made a video about how it was your fault, and you were trying to prove a point to him.
Yeah, I proved a very valid point, and then he said it doesn't apply to pets. Okay, so there is.
So you just admitted you killed the turtle to prove a point to him.
No, that's not at all what I said.
That is basically what you just said.
You could say that's what I said, but that's not what I said. Can you rephrase exactly what I said, or just say it as it was said, and isolate the exact point where there was some kind of admission of doing such an atrocious thing as killing a turtle to make a point to some hater? You can't?
You got 2 points there, Greg. 2 points.
And that's when the hater was like, well, it was a pet, as if a pet has... Yes, I say that. You ever think... You mentioned your weight. Do you ever think that has something to do with our diet differences?
I used to burn out.
So, I mean, you're celebrating eating meat while I'm talking about this, but you just admitted that you have an inferior diet.
Oh yes, I mean, I've no qualms with the actual diet, I suppose. I mean...
Okay.
I mean, I agree that it's maybe morally better. Thing is,
Do
I
you
just don't
have
have
any
very
more
many
questions
morals.
about? Do you have any more questions about a turtle that died 5 or 4 or something like that years ago?
Well, I mean, it wasn't a female, so I suppose it doesn't relate to feminism. But if it was a female,
I don't know what the gender was.
so it could have been a female, and you killed a female turtle. That isn't very feminist of you.
Like you established that you believe that all feminists hate men, even though many feminists are men.
No, they're not. We established that there are no male feminists. I'm surprised you don't come in here with a dictionary in one hand and a little sign in the other that says fact machine on it.
Okay, so you know that guy who plays Kirk from Glee?
I don't watch Glee because I'm not a homosexual man or a woman.
That's very homophobic of you to say.
Well, I mean, the commenters, some of them are good people.
You realize that a lot of the people watching this are like 10-year-olds just belting out random thoughts, right?
I'm sure you love that.
Then you'll just
Okay, fact machine.
see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. When you say "okay, fact machine,"
Was that an ad hominem?
That's yes, it literally was. If you want to make actual points regarding the issue that you're defending, you probably don't want to resort to mockery.
Says who?
Says the guy who's learned from his own mistakes in said debates.
Have you done like professional debates? Have you been a...
No, I've resorted to mockery in the past, and that does not help you.
I was on TV once. I was in a debate show.
All right. Well, it's been an hour, so we should wrap this up, dude. First of all, I really appreciate your humor. Like, even though I don't get it, I'm amused by it. So I appreciate you as a person because throughout our 7 years of knowing each other, it's always been amusing. So I just wanted to thank you for being such a strange fellow.
I just want to say, February 10th, I've got a plane to catch, and I'm summoning you to carry my luggage. Kaboom.
Oh, that's it. I was actually thinking he was going to promote his book. That would have been better. What's funny is it didn't disconnect him. His laptop doesn't have that turn off thing. So he's probably going to open it back up, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing there?" Doesn't realize he's actually not disconnected.
Rag Reynolds, Rag Reynolds.